There it is there. Still loading to the channel though. There. Up. The chat is up. We're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 5 of the PS4 America Series here on Race Spec Esports. It's time for the Singapore Grand Prix here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. A 3.15 mile, 23 turn racetrack. It's renowned as the first ever night race in Formula 1 history. It's quite a typical, narrow, technical street circuit. It's pretty difficult to overtake around. There are a couple of opportunities located at turns 1 and turn 7. Other than that, it's pretty much follow the leader sort of stuff. But what this track is best known for is its endurance. It is the longest race on the calendar in terms of time. And if we have any wet weather conditions, this is definitely going to be a very long stream, as Lake Show hits the back of one of the Renault cars there at pit lane exit. And I'm pretty sure I saw Ferrari do the same thing. It was. Both cars have end plate damage, so they'll have to go back into the pits and get that replaced, effectively ruining their first flying laps. But yes, it should be a fairly interesting qualifying session at the very least. Quite a demanding racetrack. It's a racetrack where you have to cut basically everything if you want to be fast around here. It's a bit like Sochi in a way, where you have all the runoff on the inside. You basically have to use all of it if you want to be fast and competitive. And I believe Snake and Beans will be the first driver to try and set a flying lap. He's just negotiating his way through the final sector. Clear skies, I believe. It's very difficult to tell as it's night time, but I don't think there's any cloud cover overhead. We're right on board with the Renault driver. He'll take us on a guided tour of this 3-mile racetrack. Around the final 2 turns, come onto the pit straight with DRS open. Climb up into 8th gear, over 300 kilometers an hour, hard on the brakes for turn 1. Doesn't cut too much there, doesn't cut too much of turn 2 either. Through turn 3, 2nd gear, keeps in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, through turn 4. And now heading into turn 5. Takes it quite nicely, uses a lot of the curb on the inside, which is what you should do. Now heading towards turn number 6, underneath a couple of buildings and into turn 7. Probably the most prominent overtaking spot on the entire racetrack. Around turn 8, then turn number 9, down to 4th gear, cuts the corner very nicely. Very smooth line through 9, then into the Singapore sling. This was quite a notorious part of the racetrack in its original layout. This is a lot more forgiving for the drivers. Over the Anderson Bridge and into turn 13. Very tight left-hand hairpin. Into the final DRS zone in towards turn 14. Hard on the brakes just after the 100-meter board. 2nd gear. Could use a little bit of the room on the left-hand side there. Just to try and open up the corner. Then into the cascade of 90-degree corners that is the 3rd sector. Underneath the spectator grandstand there at turn 18. Now through 20 and 21 underneath the highway overpass. And the final 2 turns on the racetrack, turns 22 and 23, 6th gear, blows it through, and it's a 1 minute 38 flat. That is the benchmark. A couple of Haas's are coming around now, Hildebeest and Captain Schmeg. Captain Schmeg does a 37.1, Hildebeest does a 37.3. So Haas, the 2 Haas drivers, rather typically quite close to each other. They have demonstrated this over the course of the season so far. And Show trying to get out of the way. Some of the drivers on in-laps. Flavius has invalidated his lap. Seppi is on a flyer, the Williams driver. Has shown good pace. Couldn't race last week, unfortunately. But he's here for tonight's race, and he's purple to the 2nd sector. You see there a lot more curb use there compared to Snake and Beans. It's kind of what you have to do around here. You have to utilize every millimeter of racetrack. Oh, missed the apex there at 18. Through 19, third gear. Fourth. Back down to second for turn 20, then 21. Bit sideways at the exit of 21. There's definitely room for improvement, but he does a 35.2 is his benchmark time. But I think a few moments in there was some scrappy moments, and I think he'll recognise that. Try and clean those up in the 12.5 minutes left of qualifying. Gentleman Seth on a flyer, making his way through the Singapore sling. Laquito and Bender are also on flying laps. Doberman gets out of the way! Oh, dear me. Oh, what the... It teleported to the Williams. Give me a minute. There we go. That's a bit better. Just teleported back to Sefi for whatever reason. There we go. Oh, locking up at turn 14. That'll cost him time. Quito has invalidated. Bender's about to finish his lap. He's going to do a 35.4. Goes second fastest for the time being. And just looking at the leaderboard, there is one major driver missing, and that's us, SMM Alp. He will not be racing, it seems, for tonight. Quite unfortunate to see. We'll give this man a bit of a reprieve, SMM Bean. Be interesting to see who are the cars towards the front of the field for tonight's race. I reckon this man will definitely be up there. I reckon this man will definitely be up there as well, KD, 1997. Also the man down here, Passassin. I've seen this driver operate himself in a few different leagues. He's incredibly fast. Be interested to see what he can do. Quito coming around turn number 9, heading towards the Singapore sling. Got turn 10, then turn 11, then turn 12. All of which you have to really abuse the track limits. Heads around 13 now. As KD pulling off to the side, doesn't want to interfere. JST is on a flying lap as well. He's heading around turn number 8. It's a nice line through turn 9. Now into the Singapore sling. Third gear, fourth. Back down to third. Doesn't cut too much there. Doesn't cut too much there either. Round 13. Gently on the throttle. Nice and progressive. Third gear, flows it through. Doesn't abuse the limits of the racetrack. See that? I really do recommend that you try and abuse all of the track limits. You need to be pushing the boundaries around a track like this. Runs through the final couple of corners quite nicely. Now into the final 2. Does a 37.9, goes up to 7th place. But yeah, I really think around a track like this, you need to abuse every limit you can find. We'll see what Bean can do. He's coming through the 3rd sector now. Let's see. Cuts nicely. You can see they're running against the curb. It's what you need to do, but he's invalidated. He's cut too much. And he'll be bound to come back into the pits, but he's sort of demonstrating what you genuinely need to do around here. Now he's going to complete the lap. Let's see what his time would have been. The 35.4. It would have put him P3 just behind Bender. He's doing another flying lap. It seems we're right on board. Round 10-4. Then into turn 5. See, they're really trying to open up the corner, carry as much speed as you can. Round turn 6. Now turn 7. Hard on the brakes just before the 50. Doesn't cut too much of the apex there at turn 7. As Passassin does a 34.1. He is 1.1 seconds clear of Seffi. The tail is just in front. He's on a flying lap, I believe. So Bean might be held up here through the Singapore sling. And in fact, he's backed off. So he'll trundle back into the pits, I assume. Bolt on a fresh set of soft compound tyres and have another go. Flavius ending his lap, goes 8th fastest with a 37.8. Sully pulling off to the side, trying to let cars through. The tail underneath the spectator grandstand. Through turns 20 and 21. Then into 22 and 23. It's going to be a 1:37.9, goes 10th fast. And Bean's going to continue here. He's going to try and set another flying lap. The tail gets out of the way. Let's see, turn 5. Cuts a bit more of the apex there, but he was very sideways on exit. That'll cost him momentum down this fast section. Into turn 7, he's up by 0.07 of a second on his current personal best. Now into turn 9. Slowly pulling off to the side. There is a Ferrari in front. Maybe that's Dirton. He'll get out of the way. I would think he would get out of the way. Here we go. Oh, gee whiz, that was close. Through the third sector now. Underneath the grandstand. Second gear, third. Short shifts to third. Keeps it in third. Now coming to the final 2 turns on the racetrack. And he pulls in. He elects to pull into the pit lane. Pulls it up. So, with 5 minutes left, he'll probably wait till about 3 minutes left in the session to come out again to set his final flying lap. KD does a 35 flat on a set of mediums. That's a pretty respectable lap time, I must say. Seffi about to end his lap. He does a 35 flat as well on a set of mediums. Let's show on an out lap. Okay, so these 3 gentlemen, they have finished their laps, I believe. Seffi just might be pushing on here. Nope, he switched it down to 0 ERS. See what Durton is up to. He's down to the first sector by just under 1.5 tenths. Comes around 13. Second sector split is coming up. Up by 0.2 of a second. With that sort of pace, he'll be able to overtake Flavius, but he needs to find half a second if he wants to have a go at Hildebeest in 8th. Basically, he needs a pretty spot-on final sector. At the moment, it looks very clean. And there we go. He invalidates at turn 20. Cutting too much there. Snake and Bean's about to go on another flying lap, I believe. No, he's coming into the pits, actually. Doberman on a flyer. McLaren driver making his way through the third second gear, third gear, fourth, fifth, back down to second. Now turns 20, 21, he gets through these well. Now coming to the final two turns on the racetrack. See what his time is. He does a 38.3. He does improve, goes 14 fastest. Gentleman Seth is the AlphaTauri behind, just beginning his flying lap. Currently 19th with a 40.7. Some ways behind the field at the moment. It's incredibly spread out. Here comes Gentleman Seth coming through turn 6, heading into turn 7. McLaren pulling off to the side and now through turn 8. First gear, interesting. I wouldn't use first gear through there without traction control. The car, you just get all this wheel spin. It'd be very difficult to control. KD retires from the session as Seth overshoots the Singapore Sling a little bit, but that's alright. Over the Anderson Bridge and into turn 13. Now heading towards turn 14. What does his sector 2 time say? He's up by 3/10. Being preparing himself for his final flying laps with 1.5 minutes left in the session. Lake Show on a flyer on a set of mediums. But he's down by 4 seconds to the first sector apparently. I reckon he's trying to push round, try and set another flying lap, if that's the case. Yeah, he's well down on his time, so he's just trying to push round, try and set another flying lap. I think he'll have enough time to do that. Schmeg on a flyer on a set of mediums. Through turn 8, where is his teammate? He's just begun his lap. And his way through turns 1, 2, and then turn 3. But Schmeg up by 7/10 of a second. He'll be trying to get into the 36s with that sort of time. Over the Anderson Bridge. Around 13. That was a very nice line through turn 13 actually. Hit his apex well, got a nice exit, and look at that, he's up by almost a second. With that, he is definitely overtaking Nero Nix. Seppi and Lake. Oh no, that is such an elementary mistake there. Cut too much of turn 16. And that's it, his qualifying session is done. What about the gentleman at the front? Bender on the fly. He's down to the first sector. Persasson is just behind. So see what Bender's sector 2 time says. Up by 4/10. What about Persasson? He's up by 2.5. Beans jumped up to second place with a 34.4 on a set of mediums as well. Blender making his way around the final sector. Hitting his marks just in front is Hildebeest. Keep an eye on Hildebeest's time. His PB so far is a 37.3. He does a 36.4, jumps to 7th. Bender crosses the line. Does a 34.8. Goes P3. Persasson blitzes his own personal best. 1 minute 33.558. Cements himself at the front of the field by a colossal 9/10 of a second. Granted, being qualified on a medium set of tyre, him on the ideal strategy here at Singapore. Oh dear, as the AI collect each other, because they have the intelligence of a brick. But there we go, that's qualifying done and dusted. It's Persasson on pole. Now initially, Passassin, I would think, would get an advantage off the line. That soft tyre will provide a lot of grip. Should be able to pull away. But how, excuse me, how long can he hold that lead? I have no idea. Because those soft tyres deteriorate fairly quickly. Medium tyre is definitely the best race tyre for Singapore. There we go. Qualifying done and dusted. Out of the way. And judging by the fact there are some drivers opting to start on the medium tyre, it suggests to me it's going to be a dry race. But anyway, we'll see. The results from qualifying the top 10, it is Passassin on pole, Bean in second, Bender in third, KD in fourth, Seffi fifth, Lakeshow in 6th, Hildebeest in 7th, Nero Nixon 8th, Captain Schmeg in 9th, and Snake and Bean rounds out the top 10. Hildebeest, Lakeshow, Seffi, KD and Bean are going to be starting on the medium compound tyre, 10.1 seconds separating the entire field there. No grid plan penalties I saw there either, so we're all starting as we were from qualifying. Now it's time for the race itself. Be interesting to see what the drivers outside the 10 opt to do. A lot of them, I imagine, would either start on the medium or on the hard tyre. Though if you go onto the hard tyre straight away, you are running a little bit of a risk that if you get damage early on, you're basically ruining your own race, because you don't have the tyre that has the longest durability to fall back on if you get damage in the first few laps. So it's a gamble, but it can work in your favour, it might not work in your favour. And I see a set of hard tyres in the bottom left, just in Lakeshow's garage. It suggests to me he's trying to do a medium to hard stint, I would think. And now loading onto the grid, we'll run through the order outside the top 10. Get it onto the tyres, and wow, there are several drivers starting on the soft tyre. Why are there several drivers starting on the soft tyre? Let's have a look at this. Alright, so Flavius is starting from 11th place on the medium tyre. Durton, I believe, is how you're supposed to pronounce that. Starting in 12th place on a set of softs. Vital in 13th on a set of mediums. JSD and Doberman 14th and 15th starting on softs. Liquito in 16th starting on mediums. Lucid and Sully P17 and 18 starting on softs. Gentleman Steph and Snooker at the back of the field starting on mediums, but no one opting for the hard tyre. I don't think the two-stop strategy is the way to go around here. It is quite a long pit lane, and track position is key around here. It's a street circuit. It is very, very, very difficult to overtake around here. So track position is king. And I'm quite surprised a lot of drivers outside the 10 electing to start on the softs. I thought basically the entire field would be mediums and hards, but there you go. Pretty sure you can do a soft to hard race, but those soft tyres, they burn up fast. They burn up very fast. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh, I do remember I did a race around here with no assist, and I managed to pull off a medium to soft race. I think I did something ridiculous like 24 laps on a medium tyre, or something stupid like that. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you had assist though. Typically speaking, when you've got traction control and ABS turned on, you tend to get worse tyre life. Generally speaking, it's not always the case, but generally speaking, that's how it works. But no, that's very interesting to see. You can see Bender, his predicted tyre stop strategy, he's got a 2-stop ready for him. Soft, medium, hard. Oh, okay. I'll use all 3 compounds in this. Unless, of course, there is wet weather on the way, then that would explain a bit. But I've had no messages saying that, so... okay. This might be an interesting start to this race then. Everyone's lined up, everyone should be ready to go. The game is saving. Let's get this race underway. We have 5 red lights, and it's lights out. And away we go. Persassin gets a pretty good launch, as I suspected, on that soft tyre, but Bean challenges the inside line. They are side by side through turn 2, heading into turn 3. Keeps the nose there, but is unable to take the lead. There's a Alfa Romeo off the racetrack. It's JC. He's now well behind in 20th place. Then, oh, a crash in the background there. A Williams spinning round. It is Seffi. He is dropping down through the order. He's down to 18th now. Oh, Red Bull Nero Nix trying to challenge Lake Show for 7th place. But you could see that there. Seffi, I believe, was a Williams who was facing perfect. Oh, and a big send. He hit Sully at turn 8. And a big send again. He hits the Ferrari. He's trying to get past. He's trying to force an overtake here into the Singapore Sling. Slowly runs wide. He's now vulnerable to Doberman. You can see there, though, Seffi was not mucking around. He was going to get past. He used his shoulders there. Try and barge his way through. He gets past his teammate, Laquito. Laquito doesn't fight it. Oh, but he hits his teammate, Laquito, at the apex of 14. Oh, Flavius really cutting turn 16 there. He cut that. It was bound to be a warning. But from the first lap, Persassin is leading the way. 1.1 seconds separate him and Bean as we have the typical lap 2 glitch. DRS is not enabled. We're only on lap 2. KD currently in those medium compound tyres, and he's got a 2-stop strategy as well. 2-stop is definitely not the way to go. Oh, hang on, he does have a 1-stop strategy underneath that. Just noticed that then. Like I said, track position is critical around a track like this. So incredibly difficult to overtake. Hildebeest supplying pressure, trying to find a way past, and Bean has gotten past Persassin. How did that happen? How did Bean get past Persassin? How did he do that? Persassin must have made a mistake. And look at Bean, he is pulling away. Oh, and he's sideways, look at that. And here comes KD down the inside at 15, but Persassin will have the inside line at 16, and spin! They make contact! And around goes Persassin. He drives in front of the cars as he rejoins the racetrack in front of Lake Show. The KD and Persassin side by side. Persassin's tyres are absolutely shot to pieces, and look at him. He is sliding everywhere. Through 20, 21. He'd be bound to be coming into the pits. Nix spins as well. Well, half spins. He catches it, and he's overtaken by Snake and Beans. Persassin, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And here comes Durton down the inside of Nix. They're side by side through 2, and side by side again. They make contact at turn 3, and into the wall goes Nix. Drivers here really getting their shoulders out. They're not mucking around. Nix will be vulnerable here. Flavius to the inside at turn 6, and he backs out. He lifted off the throttle there, Flavius. There's Seffi just in behind. Will he go for a big send here? No, he will stay in behind. There's been a fair share of contact in the first 3 laps here at Singapore, and here comes Seffi. He'll have a run here. He's on the racing line. He hits Nix. But fortunately for the Red Bull, he's still going. Flavius side by side with Seffi. To turn 13. Dear, oh dear. And Sethi is missing end plates on his front wing as well. Both end plates. He's lost a tremendous amount of downforce. We'll have to deal with this. Durton on the back of Snake and Beans right now, as KD now has a 3-second time penalty next to his name. Sethi has one as well. Oh, and what's happened here? Drive is in. Nix is in. Sethi is in as well. And let's have a look here. What's the Red Bull crew up to? Ooh, what's going on track? That's the Quito. He's got missing end plates on his Williams as well. So he's been... Oh, and he spins! Into the wall! Flick spins it back round, and here comes Possession and Snooker. They get past. No safety cars of yet either. And Lake Show has dropped down to 8. He's made some sort of error. Durton and Snake and Beans have gotten past. But there's so much going on in these first few laps. I genuinely have no idea where to look. Over the Anderson Bridge into turn 13. The tail gets a pretty decent run, but Flavius gets a better exit. The tail, however, has DRS. Not close enough to go for an overtake. Now everything is starting to settle down a little bit as Lake Show gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Underneath the spectator grandstand they go into turns 20 and 21. We've got this train forming, led by Snake and Beans it seems. Durton has pulled away a gap of 1.3 seconds. And Bender has had a moment at turn 3. What's just happened to the Mercedes driver? He's fallen down to 5th. Oh, and he has to be very, very careful on those tyres. They will not feel good at all. Durton in 6th place, sector 3 yellow flags. It's a Williams slowing down. In the background, Flavius. I thought he was going to go for a move there, doesn't commit to it. See here, train of 4 cars, led by Lake Show. At the tail end of the train, it is Doberman. Oh, and Lake Show under attack from Flavius here. The tail, he's got speed, but nowhere to go, it seems. Oh, but he runs wide. Runs very into the wall, in fact. He understeered so much he went into the Armco barrier at the outside of 13 and loses a place to Doberman. Possession's on a charge. Now I wonder what this guy's game plan is. He's started on the sauce, so he's met the 2 compound requirement. But what does he do after this medium stint? Does he go on to another set of mediums, or does he go on to a set of hards? I think he can do a double medium stint, but it's going to be a lot of hard work for the AlphaTauri driver, as Seth gets a penalty. Bender's in the pits, so is Snake and Bean, so is Lake Show, they're all in. Down the inside goes Possession, he's into P8 now. Doberman just in front, that will be his next target. Going through turn 5. Opens DRS. He will not be close enough to attack, I would think, here. Gets a good run through 7 though. Not close enough to attack through 8. Doberman though runs wide and into the barrier. Carried too much speed there. I don't think Possession hit him. It didn't look like he hit him. I think Doberman just sort of missed the corner there. Regardless, Possession is in 7th place. Next target, Flavius. Around the chicane. Over the bridge now. Into the hairpin. Flavius defends. Oh, and Possession had to turn out the corner there. The AlphaTauri sliding past the apex. And someone's gone deep. That's Durton. He's gone off. Gets it going. Those soft tyres will be shed. And Lucid into the wall. Assassin now all over the back of Flavius. And here comes Possession, using overtake, using DRS. Slingshots past Flavius, and into P5 he goes. Now he's got a tremendous amount of clear air, 15 seconds of it. Try and catch up to Captain Schmeg, who was yet to pit off his soft tyres. Meanwhile, the top 3 drivers just sort of in their own little world at the moment. Bean is leading the way with a 3.5 second margin over KD. KD in front of Hildebeest by 7.8 seconds. Gather Smeg trundling around in 4th place. 5.8 seconds behind Hildebeest, now 6 seconds. What's going on here? There's a lot going on here in the midfield. Bender trying to gather himself up from an incident early on. Seth runs wide, giving Blender the opportunity. Opens DRS, uses overtake. He's on the racing line, and he gets Seth. He's now into 11th place. Seth has a moment. Bit sideways at the exit there of turn 14. See the carpet of rubber there at the apex of turn 16 being laid there from the drivers who aren't using ABS. Doberman into the pits, off the soft tyre. What will the McLaren driver go on to sully a 3-second time penalty? Multiple warnings. JST on the attack. Niru nicks a 3-second time penalty. Nix in 12th place, trying to get past JST, who in turn is trying to pass in turn 7. And Cook's a corner. Seffi now into 12th place because of JST's mistake. Nix a bit sideways there at turn 8. Now we're heading into turn 9. All over the back of the Red Bull. Laquito a 3-second time penalty. Oh, it's a single sling. 3rd gear, they flow it through. Seth, that's an end plate missing. That's bound to be the Red Bull end plate of Nix. Running up the back of the AlphaTauri. And it is, look, on the left-hand side. Missing an end plate. Snake and Beans overtaking JST for 13th. And meanwhile, Nick's trying to get past. It might be 3. Oh, and Seffi runs into the back of the Red Bull. He's now missing an end plate. Seffi around the outside. Can he make this stick? Oh, and here comes Snake and Beans. He overtakes Seth there. And Snooker has retired from the session. He has crashed out at turn 14. Not sure what happened there. We've got drivers coming in. This will help Captain Schmeg out tremendously, this virtual safety car. Same with Lucid. He'll be pitting onto a set of mediums, I think. Yes. He'll either try and get those to the end, or he's committing to a 2-stop. Liquito, a drive-through penalty, speeding under safety car. Quite a common sight, it would seem, when these virtuals and normal safety cars come out. There's always at least one driver who doesn't manage himself to the delta. It can be quite difficult though, particularly when the delta sort of increases when it comes to entering corners. The delta just sort of skyrockets and you have to slow down dramatically in order to manage that. And if it happens that the safety car ends on a corner, then if you don't manage yourself properly, you're very much screwed over. So, unfortunately for Liquito, he'll have to serve that. On the attack is Sefi around the outside. A fine move. What a move that was. Fully committed, and he made it work. He's now into 15th. Nix is his next target. He'll probably line him up at turn 14. Nix, that's a very narrow line through 13. They'll compromise his exit, and here comes Sefi using overtake, using DRS. He goes down the inside and he's into 14th place. There's a lot of marks there. Locking up into turn 14. You can see there that massive carpet of rubber. Nix trying to keep up with Sefi through this technical third sector. And now Blender's on the back of Schmeg, and here we go into turn 7, down the inside. They make contact, and Blender spins, half spins, and he catches it. No damage, I think. Gentleman set a 3-second time penalty. There doesn't appear to be any damage on the front wing. So there we go, the Haas and the Mercedes making contact at turn 7. And Blender in the Mercedes has come off second best. He's now 3.5 seconds behind Captain Schmeg from that incident. Lake Show in 12th place. He's behind Durton as KD is in the pits. 10 laps he's done on the medium tyre. He's probably going on to the hard tyre. He is. And he'll be taking those to the end of the race. Lake Show's now starting to lose time to the Ferrari, as you'd expect, with him being on the hard tyre. The tail and Flavius fairly close together. And the top 4 very, very much spread out. Persassin finds himself in 3rd place after what happened earlier on. But I don't think those mediums can go to the end. He'll probably have to make another pit stop. Come through the Singapore sling. Get a very nice aerial shot here. You can see all the architecture. You can see the river that they cross over 3 times over the course of that lap. This lap. You can go. This is a massive bridge that crosses over the river. Around turn 14, gap is 3 seconds to Hildebeest, and that is closing. KD in a healthy 4th place. He's got a big gap in front, but also a massive gap behind. As we have these 3 now all line astern. Flavius, Tatal, Captain Schmeg, Blender running wide, but he's catching onto this battle pack as well. Into 14. Ooh, Captain Schmeg had the dart to the inside there. The 2 in front braked quite early for him, and here comes Blender as Hildebeest is in the pits and gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Around the grandstand, the spectator grandstand, as they go underneath the highway overpass. Blender is applying a great deal of pressure as Flavius is in. Captain Schmeg now gaining onto Tail. The Tail will be vulnerable as he gets a 3-second time penalty. Detal runs himself into the wall there. He'll lose 2 positions. Now Blender will be on the attack, but we know what we have a pretty good idea of what happened last time when these two came together at this very corner. Schmeg will defend the inside line. Oh, and Blender gets it done. A great move. Have a go at that. Round the outside of turn 7 there. And now he is pulling away from the Haas. Those more grippy medium tyres, though, they will be starting to wear as the leader comes in. SMMB into the pits. We'll be going on to the hard tyre, I imagine, going to the end. There we go. There's a hard compound and away he goes. Assassin, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So he'll serve one of his penalties, I think, here. There we go. So there's the 5 seconds being served. He's got another 5 seconds next to his name. Front wing change as well. Maybe this wasn't supposed to be a pit stop for Assassin. Maybe he had another plan, but he had to come in and get that front wing change. Hildebeest on the back of the tail, heading towards turn 1. Not close enough to attack just yet, though. Round turn 2 into 3. And then into the small left-hand kink of turn 4. Round turn 5. And here comes Hildebeest. It should be a fairly straightforward. They're side by side, and Hildebeest is into 5th place. 3.3. Snake and Beans also make up onto a set of hards. Go to the end. Seffi on his chart. After what happened on he's in 9th. At the moment, not too much battling going on. The field is quite spread out now. KD only 1.8 seconds behind Bean, but that gap, I assume, will increase as Bean has fresher tyres. See here, gap is 1.8 seconds. Hildebeest a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Assassin overtaking the tail, and he swoops back onto the racing line right in front of the Red Bull as he takes 6th place. He's got a 3.7 second margin to gain in order to catch up. Seffi now on the back of Lake Show, 7/10 separating the two as they head through turn 1, then turn 2 into turn 3. Now into turn 5. Seffi needs a good run through here. Does get a good run. Opens DRS. Uses overtake. Pulls to the inside for turn 6 and gets the position. Into 9th. Flavius and Nix fairly close together. Sully and Seth also fairly close together. P16 and 17. Just outside the points. Remember, the top 15 score points in Race Spec. So they're only just outside of it at the moment. Sully applying pressure here as they head through turn number 8. They are line astern heading towards the Singapore sling, as KD is now within a second of the race leader. That is quite incredible. I thought Bean would just pull away on his fresher, hard compound tyres, but no, KD is on a charge. He is properly pushing right now, as the tail is in the pits onto a set of soft tyres, so he must be doing a two-stop. KD within a second. Sector 1 yellow flags. It's just a slow car. I believe that was Laquito trying to get out of the way of some of the cars on the lead lap. Seth, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Nine tenths separating the top two as they head through turns 22 and 23. Right on board with KD, we'll see what he's up to. We'll see where he's getting his pace from. You can see they're really trying to open up turn 1 through turn 2 into 3. Third gear he's carrying through there. 4, 5th, 6th gear into turn 5. 4th gear doesn't cut too much there at the apex of turn 5, but he still carries plenty of momentum. Uses DRS to catch up here. Gap is now 7 tenths as they head into turn 7. Now turn 8 down to 3rd gear, doesn't use 2nd gear. 4th, 5th, back down to 4th. Now heading towards the Singapore sling. They are separated by 7 tenths of a second. Sector 2 yellow flags. Just a slow car, I believe. Over the Anderson Bridge into the hairpin. Gap still 7 tenths. There's a car off in front. I believe that is Sully. He'll be shown blue flags in just a moment. And he's off the circuit completely at the runoff area at turn 14. Now through the cascade of 90-degree corners in the 3rd sector. Bean pulls away and Sully has retired from the session in the runoff area, and there's a safety car deployed. Hang on a minute. How did you retire? That'll be looked at. Without any shadow of doubt in my mind, that will be looked at. Bean's in, KD's in. That will be 100% looked at by the stewards, because this will dramatically change the outlook of this race. Into the pits they come. Hildeby stays out. Passassin is in. Seffi will be bound to come into the pits, I imagine. Drivers fitting on a hard compound? Blender? Maybe he doesn't have a set of mediums available to him. What tire did he start on? Let's have a look. Pit stops. Soft to medium. He's elected to go onto the hard tire. Kidoki. It's your call. Lake show a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car. Coming off the mediums onto a set of hards. Those are old hards that Seffi is going on to. Interesting. I thought mediums would definitely be the way to go. Anywho. Because although these guys would have to do a fair amount of driving on the medium tyre, they're going to be spending 2 or 3 laps on the safety car. So that effectively reduces the amount of race time you need to do on the mediums. Reduces it to about 12 or so laps, which is very much doable with the medium tyre. I would even think the current scenario with 14 laps when they cross the line on the medium tyre is very doable. Making their way through third sector, the leaders, everyone else trying to catch up to the field. You can see how spread out it is. And into the pits. That's a late call from Hildebeest going in. But he wasn't really endangering anyone with that, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. Into the pits he comes, onto a set of mediums. He's serving a penalty while he's at it. Into a set of mediums he goes. Okie dokie, so everyone on a set of mediums or a set of hards right now. And they'll be all going to the end of the race, or at least they'll be trying to go to the end of the race. The tail comes out just behind Durton and 12th. Okie dokie. Also, because of the pit stops, KD finds himself in front of Bean. Now, looking at the penalty scenario, KD on 3 seconds, Bean on none, Blender on 3, Captain Schmeg none, same with Passassin. That's really brought Passassin back into this race. He's now in 5th place. We've seen how quick he was in qualifying. I would assume he's going to be just as quick in the race. He does have a bit of work to do to get past Captain Schmeg, Blender, Bean and KD, but it could be entirely possible that he might win this. Flavius in P6 on 3 seconds, Sephi on 6 seconds. As Snake and Beans has left the session, he has retired. I didn't catch that. Did he retire in the pit lane, or did he... I did not catch that at all. Anyway. Doberman in 8th place. No pens. Hildebeest in 9th. Gentleman Seth, a 3-second time penalty. But, so Hildebeest also has 3 seconds next to his name. As I believe Flavius is coming into the pits. And gets a 5-second penalty for speeding. That's a little bit embarrassing, that. Lake Show, a drive-through penalty next to his name. A lot of these guys were 3 seconds. Flavius now has 8. Gentleman Seth has 20. He has a lot of penalties next to his name. And hopefully Laquito finds a way to get himself out of the way of the cars behind. He is a lap down. No reason for you to stay in that position and impede the drivers behind. You'll either need to utilise the pit lane, either that or off the start, pull off to the side and let the cars behind through. Because if he gets a poor restart, it penalises every car behind. And he shouldn't be in this sort of position. Where is he? He's in 10th place, or he's the 10th car in this line. You'll need to find a way to let everyone behind him by. One of the safest ways to do it is by utilising the pit lane, because obviously under safety car conditions you aren't able to overtake anyone. But by going into the pits, the game recognises that and it won't penalise the cars behind who are overtaking you. Safety car is in this lap. And it's a safer way to do it because it doesn't penalise the cars behind if you get a poor restart. At the moment he's dropping well behind Nix here. He needs to try and not fall too far behind. Otherwise it will cost people from 10th place all the way down to 16th. There's things you need to be open-minded about as a lap car. The leaders are making their way round, going very slowly. So heading up to the final two corners, when does KD decide to go? Rounds turn 22 and 23. Dirt and a 5-second penalty, a severe collision with Lake Show. And he's actually overtaken him as Lake Show's going in. That won't serve the drive-through. Oh, and into the wall goes Gentleman Seth. I don't think that will serve the drive-through. Oh, it does. I thought you had to do it a lap after. And look at that, Liquito's still in this 10th spot. He hasn't let any of the cars behind through. Oh, dear me. Make sure serves the drive-through, and he had severe contact with this man. Burton now with 8 seconds worth of penalties. Assassin attacking Blender here through the Singapore sling. Gets it done, he's into 3rd place. It's now Bean and KD are his two main rivals in this race now. Blender under assault from Captain Schmeg as they head through turn 14. Sefi on the back of Captain Schmeg, trying to find a way past. Colombian trying to make up as many positions as he can. Those hard tyres though won't feel particularly great compared to the medium runners around him. KD sets fastest lap. This is it, the sprint to the flag. The tail on the attack. Down the inside of the Ferrari at turn 1. Gets it done. Nice move into P10. Captain Schmeg on the back of Blender. Those medium tyres will feel great for these first few laps, and maybe, just maybe, those mediums will switch off and the hards will switch on. But for now, Captain Schmeg really needs to take advantage of his current scenario. He needs to find a way past that Mercedes quickly. He cannot dawdle behind that Mercedes, and Sefi is coming as well. Sector 2 yellow flags, it's the tail. He has spun round just before the Anderson Bridge. He's now down in 14th place. See what Nix can do here, right on the back of Doberman. KD setting fastest lap again. They've got Liquito on the back of them as Doberman is in the pits and overshoots the pits as well. Oh, and into the wall goes Liquito. That was a big crash at the last corner, and he slams into the barrier on the inside. Virtual safety car deployed. To a set of mediums goes Doberman with the front wing change. They're 9 laps old though, those tyres. They're very old medium tyres. So this is it. This is really the battle to look out for. The top 3. Fairly close together right now. Virtual safety car should be ending soon. DRS enabled, no one's gotten a penalty from it. Bean's on the attack. Uses DRS here, heading towards turn 14. Gap between Bean and Passassin has increased a little bit after the safety car restart. But I imagine that will close if KD and Bean start to battle this, start to really scrap it out for the lead. Underneath the grandstand, around turn 19. KD pulling away a little bit. Around turns 22 and 23. And Bean has DRS to play with. He closes in on the racing point. Heading through turn 1, 2, then turn 3. Short shifts to third on the exit. Minimises wheel spin. Uses overtake as well to keep with the racing point. He is 3/10 behind, but misses the apex at turn 5. That'll cost him a run at the lead. He'll probably have to settle in behind KD here. He's using overtake. He's using DRS. He's not close enough to attack though. Into turn 7. Now through turn 8. They are very close together. But for Bean, there's no real opportunity through here. Zaquito has left, rather understandably so. It's a big accident that he had at turn 23. Over the Anderson Bridge. Bean losing time. KD though gives him a massive favour by missing the apex of 13 completely. Loses 2/10 in that one corner alone. Round 14. Gap is half a second. Now 4/10. They head through the cascade of 90s in the third sector. Half a second as they head underneath the grandstand. Now 20, 21. In the final 2 turns, gap is 6/10. Passassin is closing. The gap is 1.8 seconds. It's not a lot, but he is closing. Round turn 1, then turn 2 again, then turn 3. KD gets a great run through 3. He pulls away from Bean. Bean will not be able to attack, and that's costly. Incredibly costly. KD and Bean now on equal penalties. Bean no longer has the upper hand. They're both on level ground. They must scrap it out for position on track. Though Passassin behind is yet to get a penalty. He may steal the win. Oh, he was understeering there. Just noticed that. At turn 9, he understeered quite a bit at the apex. Car almost looked like it was sliding round. KD tries to pull away. This time he nails the apex. Both drivers do. But here's the battle for fourth. Blender, Captain Schmeg, Sefi, and Hildebeest are all in a position to potentially take fourth place. I would say Captain Schmeg is the best looking driver out of the lot, as he has no penalties next to his name. The other drivers though must fight it out on track. Seppi though, with those 9 seconds, is at a massive disadvantage. KD pulling away. 9/10 is the margin now as they head through turns 1, 2 and 3 again for the 25th time. Heading through turn 5. Bean on the attack, using DRS to close in, though he hasn't closed in by a lot, only by about 1/10.5 there. That's the measure over the Alfa Romeo driver. Passassin losing a little bit of time now. Gap is 2 seconds between him and Bean. Blender still hanging on to 4th place, showing the importance of track position around the street circuit. At the moment, the Mercedes is hanging on to 4th place on track, but Captain Schmeg is doing exactly what he needs to do. Keep it within the white lines and drive cleanly and consistently. Bean still desperately trying to find a way past the American. They head through the final sector, around the final 2 turns. Gap is still 8 tenths. Bean needs to give it everything. He needs to apply as much pressure as he humanly can to KD. He needs to force a racing point into some sort of error that will open the door up. Because at the moment they're fairly even on raw pace. It's just going to be about who makes a mistake in these final few laps of the Singapore Grand Prix. Who's the one who cracks under pressure? Maybe neither of them will. Maybe both of them will. But regardless of the scenario, both drivers need to give it absolutely everything. Round turn 13. Captain Schmeg is in a really nice position here, only 2 tenths behind. He might be thinking of a move on the next lap, but he needs to nail the 3rd sector of this lap if he wants any chance of overtaking Blender. Durton and Flavius exchanging positions. There's actually a bit of a battle pack there for 10th. Seeing Durton, Flavius and Lucid. You see here Blender and Schmeg sort of pulling away from Seffi and Hildebeest. More or less now a 2-way fight for 4th place, sorry. The Bean is a bit closer now than what he has been on previous laps. So KD gets a superb exit out of turn 3. Pulls away a little bit. Bit sideways on the exit though. DRS overtake being used by Bean. Both drivers quite low on resources. Here we go into turn 7. Deep on the brakes goes Bean. He had a lot of momentum, but he couldn't utilize it to get past the racing point of KD. He is still behind. And Passassin is now in a really good position to take this. Gap is only 1.7 seconds and he is yet to get a penalty. Oh, but he understeers wide a little bit there. That'll cost him time. Look at that gap increase, 1.8. 1.9 seconds now. It's those little errors that can cost you a win. Any one of three of these drivers can take the win. Passassin closing in now. 1.5 seconds to Bean. He might try and introduce himself to this battle as they begin lap 28 of 31. Bean half a second behind, heading into turn 1. Turn 2. Turn 3 again. Bean misses the apex. He's making too many little mistakes. It's costing him. He'll close in again using the DRS. But I thought he might have been in an opportunity to take KD here. But he's not. That little mistake at 3 has cost him too much time. Now turn 8. Then turn 9. Assassin is still just there, 1.6 seconds behind. There is a McLaren in front. It is Doberman. He'll get out of the way here, I imagine. He'll recognise that there are cars behind. He'll probably pull off to the inside. No, he won't. He will continue pushing on. No, there we go. He pulls off to the side. Lets the leaders through. Gap is 7 tenths, 7.5 tenths. KD doing everything he can do to maintain this lead. Bean doing everything he can do to try and take the lead. And Passassin doing what he needs to do in order to take the win. You cannot afford, though, to make any mistake in these final few laps. You really can't. Being very close now, heading into turn 3. First gear at the apex to get that extra rotation. Gets a fairly decent exit. He needs to now turn 5, third gear at the apex. Pretty good run. He uses DRS, uses overtake. He's going to spend everything here. KD, what does he do? He stays on the racing line. Bean shows the nose. He doesn't go for the move, though. Round turn 8. Now turn 9. Gap is half a second. Heading towards the Singapore sling. This is all about minimizing mistakes, not losing your rhythm. Passassin, 1 point behind. Oh, but he makes a mistake. You saw that there. He had to counter steer there. Car was completely sideways on the exit. Gap has increased to almost 2 seconds between Passassin and Bean. Even he is feeling the pressure. And with these tyres constantly deteriorating, it puts even more strain at the drivers here at the front of the field. KD, a 3-second time penalty with just over 2 laps to go. Now exactly 2 laps to go. He may have shot himself in the foot there. That might be race over for KD. As Bean has a look down the inside at 3. Go through turn 4 now. They are side by side. KD maintains the lead though through turn 5. Bean though in a fantastic position. He will look down the inside and there's nothing KD can do. Into turn 7, Bean takes the lead. KD tries to get a switchback, but to no avail. But what can Bean do now? Can he win this? Passassin is still looking good. As they head towards the Singapore sling for the second last time. Meanwhile, Blender has pulled away from Schmeg, but he's still vulnerable to losing P4 to the Haas driver. He needs to find a 3-second margin over Captain Schmeg, who is now actually vulnerable to Sefi. Bean trying to pull away. 7 tenths is a margin. 8 tenths. Gap between third place and the leader, 1.7 seconds. Oh, the KD squarely on the exit. Incredibly sideways there. And here comes Passassin. And Bean will begin the final lap. Lap 31 of 31 here at Singapore. Who's going to take this? It seems like a 2-horse race between Bean and Passassin. It will come down to whatever happens on this final 5 kilometers of this race. Oh, and Passassin incredibly sideways. We'll keep it. The gap to leader, 1.5 seconds is the gap between Passassin and Bean as they head through turn 7 for the final time. Around turn 8. Then turn 9. I really don't want to know the warning scenario for Passassin. I don't want to curse anybody. Done that a lot in my career. I'll just let it happen. Whatever happens, happens. Gap is 1.6 seconds. This has to be the lap of Bean's career if he wants this. See there, the gap. 3-second penalty next to Bean. Assassin, 1.9 seconds is the margin. As they head through the final sector for the final time. It's been a superb race for these three at the front, and KD very squarely on the exit. Gap is now 2.1 seconds. I don't think it'll be enough for Bean. He's coming around the final two corners now. It was a fine drive. It's not enough though. Assassin will take the win here at Singapore by just under half a second. Bean in second. KD will maintain third place. Bender will come round. He will finish in P5. Captain Schmeg will take that away from him. Schmeg into fourth. The Blender crossing the line in fourth place. That was taken away because of post-race penalties. Seffi in sixth place. That's a pretty good recovery considering what happened on the first lap. Hildebeest in seventh. Nix will come across the line in eighth place. JC in ninth. The other Ferrari of Durton will cross the line in 10th. He will round out the top 10. But a very long race indeed here at Singapore. Oh, hang on, Lucid might take it away from him. He does. Lucid finishes in the top 10 for McLaren. Flavius will finish in 12th. Detail in 13th place. And Lakeshow will be the final driver to cross the line in 14th. There we go. The end to another Singapore Grand Prix. An interesting one at that, particularly towards the front. Lucid given driver of the day. We'll see his performance in just a moment. But now podium celebrations. There we go. Not a bad race at all for Singapore. Typically around here it's not the greatest of racing, but yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Not at all. Oh, excuse me. Whew. Okie dokie. Let's have a look at the unofficial results. We'll get the official results after the stewards' inquiries post-race. But there we go. When started on pole, ends up winning with fastest lap. A very nice race there for Assassin. Bean finishes in second, KD in third, Captain Schmeg in fourth, Blender in fifth, Seffi in sixth place, Hildebeest in seventh, Nix in ninth, Nix in eighth, JC in ninth, and Lucid rounds out the top 10. We had 20 drivers, only 15 finishes in the end, so everyone who finished scored points. At least they go home with something. But not a bad race at all for Singapore standards. Some very interesting moments indeed. And that is one of the closest finishes we've had in this season in the Americas tier. I think this might be the closest finish of the season. Less than half a second in the end between Assassin and Bean. There we go. Not a bad race there. Whew. But that doesn't conclude this week's worth of racing here at Singapore. On Sunday, we'll have the tiers battle it out on this very demanding street circuit. The next week, if I remember correctly, we go from the longest race on the calendar to the fastest race in the calendar, or at least the racetrack with the highest average speed. Autodromo Nazionale di Monza is a timeless classic in the world of Formula One. Known as Formula One's Temple of Speed, it often provides very interesting racing, fairly closed racing, and typically a lot of drama and chaos. The track is basically a bunch of straights and chicanes, coupled with the two Lesmo curves and Parabolica. But still, the racing tends to be pretty good to watch, and qualifying will be very, very close indeed. Well, at least I would certainly think so. So next week should be fairly dramatic and very, very interesting to watch. Well, that'll be the hope anyway. But I think that might conclude this stream, ladies and gentlemen. A fine race for Singapore standards, and Possession taking victory after some drama early on in the race. Though certainly he was saved by the safety car that was brought out by the Ferrari who crashed at turn 14. I'm sure there'll be some sort of inquiry in regards to that. But regardless, until next time, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for the Italian Grand Prix at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Until then, goodbye.